Most people don't get what they want. They end up with what they can't get enough of. Some people are so addicted to the pleasure of sin or to the pleasure of addictions that it sabotages every good thing in their life. Say, for an example, a job. You start off humble because you really need it. Or say, for an example, a relationship. You start off likable, but your refusal to correct the sin or the addictions ends up sabotaging every good thing in your life. Say, for an example, a job. You start off charming. Charm is when you say what you have to say, act like you have to act, be who you have to be to get what you want. And then when you get what you want, you go back to being who you really are. So charm is who you are to get what you want, but character is who you really are all the time. Now hear me out. A lot of people go through cycles. They sabotage what they had due to some type of betrayal or some type of addictions. They go through a period of time and the void creates a need for the thing that they previously sabotaged. Then they start the process all over again, obtaining something new without a change in character. They change their clothes. They probably change their perfume or their cologne. They change their outer appearance, but they never change the actual sin. They never deal with the actual sin. They never deal with the actual addiction. It reminds me of a mouse. The mouse sabotages his life on the mousetrap because the bait is so alluring, it's so tempting, it's so addictive, but it ensnares them in the end. So because people fail to deal with the sin or the addiction, they end up in new situations, new jobs, new relationships, but with the same outcome. Because the truth is, you're not that nice and outgoing person at your job or in public. That's not the authentic you, because we've been taught to be nice. Who you really are is who you are in private or when a few people's around. And you're not who you are when you've been promiscuous or when you high and drunk. Who you really are is who you are when you can't get what you want. And that's basically somebody with an attitude, somebody who's frustrated, somebody who's irritable, somebody who's impatient. You got to deal with that person. Stop acting like you're the person that you are when you got fulfilled by the sin or the addiction. That's just temporary. See, that's what sin and addiction does. You in control over it one moment, and then the next moment, months, years, decades, it's got control over you. So you end up sabotaging every good thing in your life, and you'll end up blaming it on everybody else because you don't want to look at yourself. And instead of coming clean about the sin or the addiction that's got out of control, because the truth sets you free, you get more craftier, you get more sneakier, you get more manipulative, you get better at telling lies. And instead of drawing near to God to break the addictions and the strongholds in your life, what do? You get more prideful. That's why you say stuff like, I'm grown, I can do whatever I want to do. And in your mind, you start thinking you got finesse, not realizing the more you sin, the more demons are entering and gaining occupation over your vessel, making it harder for you to control your own yeses and nos, finessing you, not realizing the more you indulge in the sin or the addiction, the more enslaved you become to it. Yeah, you grown. Yeah, you free to do what you want, but everything you do might not bring you freedom. And the thing is, you can't break the power of sin or addiction off your life without the power of God, without the power of Jesus and the Holy Spirit working in your life. So after you've lost your innocence and your childlike wonderment and exchanged it for the pleasure of sin and addiction, that's why most people end up not getting what they want, which is the joy, the satisfaction in life. They end up with what they can't get enough of. And sometimes the devil allows people to live a life that's filled with sin without too much trouble or too much interruption or too many issues, because he don't want you to turn to God. Them is like the entertainers and the celebrities. They're the exception to the rule because they're promoting sin to the masses and they get rewarded here on earth. But their sin is like a jail cell. It's nice and comfy, and it don't seem to be a need to leave it. The door's wide open until one day time runs out and the cell door slams shut, and all of a sudden it's too late.